Hey everyone, welcome to this week's NXT review. This is Jay here on the WWE Podcast Network. I am coming to you from my living room today. Normally I actually record these in my car, but I decided today that I just felt like relaxing in my living room and recording this podcast. I am going to be reviewing the episode for NXT that was on October 10th in 2024. I'm sorry. October 8th, 2024. And it was from the factory in St. Louis, Missouri. So, interesting, actually. So I watched Monday Night Raw on Monday, which was from St. Louis, and then I watched NXT, and I originally thought that the NXT episode would be from the same arena as the Raw episode. And then when they came on for the episode, it was obviously not. It had a little bit of a TNA feel. If you've ever watched a TNA wrestling event, it had a little bit of that feel, that vibe. The whole thing with the people sitting on the ramp, on either side of the ramp, as the wrestlers would walk out from the backstage area, was weird. It was really weird. And then it looked like they were, if I remember correctly, it kind of looked like they were facing in towards each other. So when they wanted to watch the wrestling matches, they had to turn. I don't know. The whole thing with them being on the ramp was weird. But the venue was really cool. It actually reminds. So I'm from the Hudson Valley area, and back when I was a kid, we used to go watch wrestling events at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie. And they used to do Monday Night Raws from there too. And the funny thing is I'm going to try to describe it as best I can. So basically, it's an auditorium. There's a stage on one side. There's just a square, I guess, floor in the middle, and then seats that go up just on one side. So there's walls on either side of the floor, and then the back side of it has seats that go up. And it's funny because when they would tape Monday Night Raw, and I say tape because it was taped back then, they would put the camera on the stage facing the seats, so it looked, the Civic Center looked like a lot bigger than it was. And I kind of got that feel from, not exactly, but I kind of got that general feel from this arena. It was a small facility, but I have to tell you, this is why it worked. Last week they were in Chicago. They did this huge arena event. Place was packed. People went crazy. This week, they did it in a smaller venue. Now, not as small as the Performance Center where they usually do NXT shows, but it was kind of in between the arena and the Performance Center. And so it seemed like their goal, I'm wondering, it seems like the goal was they're stepping down, starting in the arena in Chicago, the Allstate Arena the first week, the factory in St. Louis, which was obviously not the big arena in St. Louis, and then now stepping down next week, they're going to be back at the Performance Center, I'm assuming, because they haven't made any announcement otherwise. So it seems like now they're stepping down to the Performance Center, which, for somebody who hasn't watched NXT before, it was on the CW, they're kind of fading it down, which makes sense. For those of us that have been watching NXT for a better part of a few years, or however long you've been watching it, you're just going to be like, oh, now they're back at the Performance Center. So I thought that was a really interesting concept. The episode of NXT from last night was not nearly as, for me personally, it was not nearly as good as the one from last week. But the one from last week was that was the first one on the CW. We're running out of the gate. We're punching you in the face with the best stuff we have, and they did, and it worked. This week, it was about halfway between last week and what it usually is. I will say that. And, we're going to go through the matches and the backstage stuff, and I'm going to kind of give you my opinion on some stuff. Some stuff was great, and some stuff. So this morning on my way to work, I was listening to Matt's Raw review, and a couple of things crossed over from Raw to NXT. So I wanted to listen to see what his thoughts were on something. But I'm just going to get this out of the way before I say anything else about the NXT show. Please stop with Sexy Red. Please. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'm sorry. So they brought her in to, quote, sing one of her songs, which she did sing. But basically, she did the same thing that when I turn on my radio and I sing to my radio that I do. Like, she sang to a recording of herself singing her song. What? Please stop. And I've never been so happy. Now listen, I think I've said to you before, I really like Ethan Page. I love his heel character. I think he's just great at it. But I've never been happier to see him walk out while she was, quote, singing her song and interrupting her. I know it was supposed to be a heel move, and I know Matt said yesterday, they're trying to open up to a wider audience, and I get that. But, find somebody else. Please find somebody else. It doesn't work. She doesn't work. She's annoying, and maybe it's just because of my background. I don't really prefer that kind of music that she has. That she does, but it doesn't work, and they need to. This is not the first time they brought her in. They even felt the need to bring her to Raw 2 days ago. Well, at the time of recording, it would be 2 days ago. It just was not good, and they need to stop. They just need to stop. Personal opinion, I understand that. Maybe some of you listen to it, listen to this podcast. So no, it was wonderful. Blah blah blah. I mean. Please, if you think it was wonderful, justify it to me in the comments, because I can't see how it was anything but just god awful. And I know that's extreme, but that's the way I feel. Okay, so the show opens up with a package recalling what happened last week. I'm not going to go through it because I went through it for half an hour last week, but the two highlights were Trick Williams obviously winning the NXT title from Ethan Page. And they touched on this not last night, but 2 days ago on Raw about how CM Punk, quote, cost Ethan Page the title. And if anybody saw it, you realize that didn't happen. He attacked him after the match. Well, they attacked each other after the match. But I was kind of, to be honest, and I actually said this in the comments of one of Matt's recordings recently about, they don't have anything for Punk to do, and he came out on Raw, beaten and battered from the Hell in the Cell match, which, wow. And I'm still, I know this is not a main show review, but that bump that Drew McIntyre took where he went for the Claymore and knocked and hit his back on the corner of the stairs, to this day, it just gives me, the willies just thinking about how much that had to have hurt. Anyway, going back to my point. So, CM Punk for a while is not going to have really a program with anybody. And I know that at one point he did say that. So, that he wanted to go for the world title. And, to be honest, I had said that maybe he could do a mini program with Ethan Page. Doesn't even necessarily have to be in NXT. But Ethan Page right now, he's going to be in a triple threat match next week for to be the number one contender for Trick Williams' title. Okay, fine. But he doesn't really have a program himself. So this whole NXT in the last 2 weeks, the whole thing just seems to be one big reset. And it started out, and we're going to talk about the first segment, which was Trick Williams coming out and kind of doing a victory lap with the NXT title. And it's clear to me. It's clear. I think it's clear to pretty much everybody that Trick Williams is now the new face of NXT, and they're going to be marketing him first, which I think is great. I love Trick Williams. I honestly think he'll be in the main. I think come the draft of 2025, I guess in April or May or whenever it is, I think he is bound for the main roster. And if he doesn't get to the main roster, then I'm going to wonder why, to be honest, because he's got it all. He's got it all. He's got the personality. He's got the charisma. He's got the skills. Like let him cook a little bit with the title. I think, let him keep it till Stand and Deliver, which is the WrestleMania weekend PLE. But let him cook, let him simmer, and then unleash him next summer. Just unleash him, like they did similarly with Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker this year. That's my own personal opinion. I think he's great. I think it's very smart. It's extremely smart that they are making him the face of NXT right now, and they did it in the fashion that they should have, with making him win the title in the first episode, as if NXT is saying to the CW world, here's our guy, this is the guy you need to look at. Oh yeah, we have the other people too, but this is the guy, and he is the guy. So in the beginning of NXT, and we'll talk about the review. In the beginning of NXT, Trick Williams opens up the show for a promo to address the NXT Championship title win, and then as he's giving himself his props, rightfully so, out comes Wesley. He's in the balcony of one of the sides of the arena, and again, it's a small arena, so like if that was on the balcony of a big arena, like he would be completely like crazy far away. But doing it in this little venue, he wasn't that far away from the ring, so they could talk to each other. They talk to each other. Trick Williams calls Wesley light skin, which, okay, that's fine. And and Wesley basically says, you had a major win. So did I last week. I got rid of some extra weight, he claims, and that he wants to go against Trick Williams for the title. And Lee thinks that he's going to leave him in the dust. Basically, like he said, like your partner did, which I'm assuming he means Carmelo Hayes. And then they're both interrupted. Now, this is a main roster guy, but they're interrupted by Jey Uso. Main event Jey Uso. He comes out of the crowd, which in this venue it took a lot less time for him to get from the hallway to the ring because it was such a small venue. And here's the thing, like Jey Uso right now, and he's got the Intercontinental title. And, it puts a lot of credibility on him. But he could have done exactly what he did last night in NXT without the title. He could have done exactly the same thing. All he did last night was come out, congratulate Trick Williams. They went back and forth with whoop that trick and yeet. And that was the end of it. He didn't really even do anything. He didn't say anything. It was just, hi, I'm Jey Uso, yeet. Hey, this guy's good. Whoop that trick, back and forth, bye, and that was the end of it. But he didn't have to. Like, it was like, you kind of like, oh wow, I'm so happy to see him here. And that's the way I felt, and I could tell the crowd felt the same way. They were just happy to have Jey Uso in the building, and it was a cool thing. Again, didn't do anything, but he just was there. So anyway, that ended, and then we had the 6-woman tag team match, which pitted Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Kehlani James versus Fatal Influence of Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. And this was an okay match. There's a lot of the script of of a Jade and Bianca match where Jade goes out there, kicks some butt for a while, gets her butt kicked for a while, hot tags Jade to come in, and then Jade just beats the crap out of everybody. This time though, there were some times where the three of them and Kalani Jordan would join them in beating up everybody, and then at the end it was very cool. So at the end they did. Bianca and Jade did their finisher. I don't know what it's called. I forgot what it's called. But then they allowed Kalani Jordan to do her split-legged moonsault and pin Fatal Influence for the win. So ultimately, this helped push 4 people in NXT. It helped push the 3 members of Fatal Influence, and extremely helped push Kalani Jordan, who, by the way, she's a North American champion right now. She doesn't really need a huge push. It was cool to have it, and maybe they're setting her up for in the future to go for the world title, which right now is clogged with people, which we'll talk about. The NXT women's title is clogged with people in a good way, and I know that sounds weird, but I'll explain later. So, anyway, bottom line is that Jade, Bianca, and Kalani got the win, and it was just, it's nice to see the main talent roster people come down and do a little something. Later on in the show, there's actually an interaction between Jade and Bianca and Metaphor, Lash Legend, and I forgot the other person's name. It's here somewhere. Anyway, and they actually set up a match for the two of them from Metaphor to go onto SmackDown. So this Friday night on SmackDown, it'll be Metaphor against Jade and Bianca for the tag team titles. Because basically, Bianca's like, they want a tag team title match, and Bianca's like, well, we're not coming to you. You got to come to us. You have to come to SmackDown. Which, I mean, you're there now. I don't understand. But whatever. If you hear Matt, he calls them the Mean Girls, and that's what it kind of is. So they're kind of like the Mean Girls, but anyway. So after the match, backstage, we've got Randy Orton, and he sees Frexium, which is Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and he asks them how fast Javon Evans is, because in case you forgot, the main event that night was Randy Orton versus Javon Evans, which we'll get to later about how that match went. And Axiom says, oh, he's the fastest guy in NXT. And then Nathan Frazier's like, dude, I'm right here. And he's like, he apologizes and says, and then and he says, I'm sorry for being a hothead. And Randy says, you don't have to feel sorry for being a hothead. You can be a hothead sometimes. Anyway, after that interaction, then we had Roxanne Perez come to the ring and to do a promo, and she was bad-mouthing the fans for hyping up Julia and thinking that she would win the title, but she did not. Then again, Roxanne did get help. But when everyone props up another person to fight her, she'll be drinking. I love this line. She'll be drinking the tears of all the fans when she retains again. That's a great line. It was such a great line. But now she says she won't be drinking alone anymore. Now she is going to have Cora Jade, and then Cora Jade comes out to do the promo with. Now Cora Jade looks great. She's extremely good looking. She looks the part, but her promo skills, she needs work. Like, Roxanne is choppy at times doing the promos, but Cora Jade is very choppy. And I'd like you to, if you haven't seen it yet, I'd like you to watch it and just let me know if you think that I'm right, because it was just awkward, It was very awkward. And then, unfortunately, we'll talk about it in a second. I'm jumping ahead. I apologize. So, Cora Jade talks about sitting at home, hearing how everybody talks about the women's division and not giving her enough props. When she came back, she wanted to make sure that everyone paid for forgetting about Cora Jade. No one saw it coming that she cost Julia the match, including even Roxanne. Jade used to be the young girl trying to make it at NXT, But the woman she is now is the woman who will make NXT. Yeah, right. Okay. Roxanne deserves to be champion, and that is her version that she always wanted her to be. So she talks a little bit about it, and then all of a sudden, Julia's music hits. Now, I forgot to mention earlier, there was an interview done with Julia, and in the middle of this, in the beginning of the interview, before Julia really got to talk, somebody walked in the room that you couldn't see, and she's like, Julia's, my old friend. And then they cut. So we didn't know who the old friend was. Come to find out, Julia comes out, and before she hits the ring, Stephanie Vacour's music comes out, and the two of them come out and just start beating on Roxanne and Cora. And at the end, both of them picked up the belt that Roxanne left in the ring. Roxanne and Cora were outside the ring. Both of them picked up the belt upside down. I noticed that, and I thought that was kind of weird. And just stared at them. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't understand exactly what that was all about. So they hold the championship together. I don't know. It was kind of weird. Backstage, No Quarter Catch Crew then approaches Lexis King, who is watching the match with Ora Mensa back on tablet. Lexis King asks for some advice. Charlie Dempsey suggested an Admiral Lord Mount Evans rules, which is a gentleman's battle of sorts. So, I've never heard of that. I'm sure they'll explain it next week, but next week there will be another match between Ora Mensa and Lexis King, and it will be let me make sure I get this right, Admiral Lord Mount Evans rules. So, yeah. I guess it's something that was in England, because if anybody doesn't know, Charlie Dempsey's the son of Steven Regal. William Regal, whatever his name is. And and obviously he's from England, so. Anyway. The next match after that is the North American title match between Obafemi, the champion, and Tony D'Angelo, the challenger. And this match was okay. Some really cool spots. At one point, Obafemi goes out and starts talking smack to the family, and he pushes one of them, and then oh my god, I can't remember her name. Rizzo falls over. Rizzo gets pushed and falls over, and Tony just snaps. But it was weird. So he snaps and he starts beating the crap out of Obafemi. But then he starts getting beat up himself again. At one point, though, it was really cool. They were on the far side of the ring by the announcer's table, and Tony D'Angelo takes Obafemi and gives him a spine buster through the announce table, which was really cool. Then they get back on the ring. He does another spine buster in the ring, and then doesn't get him covered. Obafemi hulks up for a second, goes to choke slam Tony D'Angelo, and he does a sunset flip during this choke slam and zesty pins him. Do you know what a zesty pin is? It's when you kind of fold a person in half and stand over their legs. I call that a zesty pin. And gets the win. And Tony D'Angelo is now your new North American champion. Now, Tony D'Angelo, his character work is top notch. I never particularly care for the whole Rocky thing when they were trying to get him not be scared, quote unquote, of Obafemi. But generally speaking, I love his work. I'm an Italian American myself. I know I don't sound it, but I am. And I love the whole family, the whole Tony D'Angelo, the Don of NXT. I love that. So he deserves a title win. Not the Heritage Cup. I mean, to me, I don't consider the Heritage Cup an actual title. I consider it a piece of equipment that people carry around to say they're the Heritage Cup champion. I'm talking about an actual title belt. The North American title has been around forever, and he deserves that title. Now, Obafemi. Hardly anybody thought he was going to lose anytime soon, and he did. Why? I honestly think that they're starting to groom him to go north, to go to the WWE. eventually. They're either going to put the NXT title on him within the next year and then move him up, or they're just going to say, you know what, he's ready to go. I think that's going to happen sooner than later, my own personal opinion, but I think the main roster needs an Oba Femi type character. Somebody who's big, who's scary. I would say that if he was to go on one show or the other, it would be SmackDown, because and to basically be to come in as a US title contender, only because Raw still right now has Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, like they have the big guys. They don't really need him, but I honestly think he would be great in SmackDown. Just a personal thought. So, anyway, Oba Femi loses the title. Tony D'Angelo is the new North American champion. And then next week they're planning on doing a celebration. I don't understand. They seem to do this every week. Every time there's a title change, especially on a regular show, that they do this. They do a celebration, like they did it with Jey Uso recently with the Intercontinental title. They did the celebration with when Chase U won the tag team titles, and then they did a celebration the week after, and they ended up losing them that show. Anyway, it was a decent match. I liked the match. I liked the result. Oba Femi's Oba Femi did not lose anything by losing this match. He's still amazing. He's still awesome, and he's still going to kick some butt. Just a matter of where. That's what I think. It's just a matter of where. Then backstage, Kalani Jordan tells Bianca and Jade that she appreciates them having their back, and I had mentioned this earlier. But she has it from here. They're interrupted by Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, who want a tag team title shot. And they said if they want a match, they need to come to SmackDown. So on Friday, as I said before, there's a tag team title match. And let me tell you, if you've never seen Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson, she's okay. If you've never seen Lash Legend, she is a beast. She's amazing. And to be honest, I'd love to see her against like a Rhea at some point. But if you don't watch SmackDown, which, I mean, you must watch SmackDown. If you're watching NXT, I'm assuming you watch SmackDown. But check out that match just because Lash and then Bianca and Jade Cargill will be, I think it has a chance to be freaking amazing. Okay, then backstage, Lola Vice wants Ava to give her a match with Jada Parker. And then we get a returning Nikita Lyons, who I feel like she returns every few months. Hopefully this time she won't get hurt again. And she has an appointment with Ava during the show again, which, again, there's 166 hours of the week aside from the 2 hours that NXT is on. Why do you have to have a meeting during the show? But anyway, I guess it's just, I know I'm a cynical. I think I'm kind of like Matt, and like we're both cynicals when it comes to stuff like that. Anyway, so basically, Ava says, you know what? We were here to talk about Nikita's first match back, so it looks like it's going to be Lola Vice. So next week there'll be a match between Nikita Lyons and Lola Vice, and that should be a great match. I love Lola Vice. And Nikita Lyons is fairly good too. I mean, I'm playing it down. Then we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match between Fraxium, which again, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, against A-Town Down Under. And this match, listen, there's never a bad match between when it comes to Nathan Frazier and Axiom. They're amazing. The stuff that they do was freaking amazing. And A-Town Down Under came down from SmackDown to put them over, and they did. And they made Fraxium look great. Fraxium already looked great, but they made them look more great. Greater? Whatever. It was great. What are they going to do? I don't know. I know that they say this about every show, But the tag team divisions on every single show they're so not good right now. Who is Fraxium going to face? Chase University is out there fighting with Rich Holland. We'll talk about that in a second. And what other, like Hank and Tank? No. Who are they going to fight? Who are they going to face? I look forward to seeing this because right now I don't really see who they can face. Anyway, end of the match. Fraxium ends up defeating A-Town Down Under. So it was a pretty decent match. Like I said, it was a good. You can't get a bad match with Fraxium. Okay, then we have Sexy Red come out. I'm not going to go through this again. I don't like the whole thing. She needs to not be back again. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So then is the match between then the match between Randy Orton and Javon Evans. To be honest, I love Javon Evans. Obviously, Randy's the GOAT. I mean, I know they call John Cena the GOAT, but I like Randy better. I like his character better. That's just me. I mean, don't get me wrong, love John Cena too, but it's Randy. I finally got to see him in person a couple of months ago at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Like, I've never seen him in person before. Dude's huge. Anyway, this match was just okay. Randy kind of walked through the match, I would say. I'm not, Javon tried to do the crazy moves that he does. The match ended where Javon Evans was trying to do this flippy move that he does off the top rope, and the idea was that Randy Orton was supposed to catch him while he did the flippy move and put him in an RKO. And they both missed. I mean, it wasn't like Randy missed. It wasn't like Javon missed. They both missed, and it just got completely screwed up. Then Randy basically, that was supposed to be the end of the match. It was supposed to be the RKO. Clearly, he was supposed to try to do the RKO when he did it. It didn't work out. So then Randy basically picks him up and says, screw this, and just gives him a regular RKO. Wins the match. And Javon Evans had a good showing. I mean, it's Randy freaking Orton. Like, come on. But Javon Evans had a good showing. Which, then, after that match, the very last thing that happened was there was another backstage segment to end the show between Ava and Ethan Page. And Ava informed Ethan Page and Wesley that they will have a number one contenders match next week, and that Javon Evans will also be there because of the performance he just gave. I don't think there's anything he couldn't have done to not get this, obviously. And so it'll be a 3-man triple threat match, and the winner will face Trick Williams at Halloween Havoc on October 27th. That brings me to something I just wanted to tell you. I'm doing the NXT reviews every week for Matt for the WWE podcast, and I'm also going to be reviewing the NXT PLEs. So, the week of the PLEs, so Halloween Havoc is October 27th, and then the 29th will be the next NXT show. That week, I will be doing 2 NXT reviews, one for Halloween Havoc, which again, NXT PLEs are off the charts. Please watch it. Tell your friends, just watch it. The performance during NXT PLEs is off the chart. Get people to watch it. And then listen to my review. Tell me if you agree. So that week I'll be doing 2 reviews, one for the 27th Halloween Havoc and one for the 29th for the NXT show. So, if anybody has any questions or comments, please leave them for me. I want to hear what you think. It's been eerily quiet in the Patreon comments section. Again, listen to Patreon. If you don't want to listen to the commercials on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'm a Patreon member for the WWE podcast. I listen to Matt's show without commercials. So I also check to see my show if there's any comments. And there's never been any comments. Still, there's been 1 like so far. I hope to get more someday. Maybe this week. Who knows? But yeah. do Patreon, $5. There's different tiers. I'm a $5 SmackDown tier, but you could choose another one. And then also, you got ad-free version on Apple Podcasts. And each one of those, they also have a 7-day free trial. Try it out. If you don't like it, turn it off. And you don't have to pay anything. But I guarantee you, with all the commercials, and he's got to do the commercials. We got to do the commercials in order to pay the bills, to keep the lights on. But if you pay the fee, you don't have to listen to the commercials. And it's such a great experience without the commercials. That's my plug. Anyway, I will talk to you next week. Let me know what you think in the comments. And tell Matt if you think I'm doing a good job. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.